homeless encampment in the Phillips neighborhood is taking a unique approach to get ready for winter and raising money to build yurts.
Of California's biggest and richest cities are facing a public health issue which centers around growing homeless problems. One America's Eddie McCoven has that report.
California, the land of opportunity with a growing homeless population.
At -10 degrees, exposed skin starts to freeze in under 5 minutes. At -20, your body begins shutting systems down. And during a full winter storm, wind, snow, moisture, darkness, even experienced hikers can die in a single night. Yet every year, thousands of people with no homes, no furnaces, and no solid walls wake up alive inside collapsing tents and tarps. So the question isn't whether winter storms are deadly. They are. The real question is this: what do homeless people know about surviving them that you don't? Because while most of us ride out blizzards behind insulated walls, others are fighting physics with plastic sheets and scavenged cardboard. And somehow, many of them win. When a winter storm hits, housed people turn up the thermostat and cancel plans. Homeless people shift into survival mode, not emotionally, practically. Every decision becomes about heat retention, moisture control, wind direction, and escape routes. There's no comfort buffer, just problem solving. Here's the thing most people don't realize: cold doesn't usually kill first. Wet does. Moisture is the silent executioner of winter storms. Snow melts inside clothing. Breath condenses on tent walls. Boots soak through. Gloves freeze stiff. And once moisture touches skin, heat disappears up to 25 times faster than dry air. That's why experienced homeless survivors prepare for storms before the first snowflake falls. They don't wait until it's cold. They scout. They walk neighborhoods during daylight, mapping wind tunnels between buildings. They locate overhangs, fences, abandoned loading docks, tree lines. They look for elevation changes where drifting snow won't bury their shelters overnight. They're not wandering. They're selecting terrain. Because where you place a tent during a storm matters more than what the tent is made of. Newcomers make the same mistake every winter. They set up in open areas. Flat ground feels logical. It's also a wind funnel. Veterans of the streets tuck themselves beside brick walls, dumpsters, embankments, or parked trailers. Anything that breaks airflow. Even reducing wind speed by 30% can raise interior shelter temperature by several degrees. And in winter survival, every degree matters. But here's where it gets interesting. A tent alone is almost useless in a snowstorm. Those thin nylon walls? They block precipitation, not cold. So homeless engineers build layers around their tents. Tarps go first, always at an angle. 45 degrees is the sweet spot. Steeper, and you lose internal space. Flatter, and snow accumulates until gravity wins at 3 in the morning. They anchor tarps using shopping carts, concrete chunks, fence posts, or buried sticks. Then comes the wind wall. Cardboard, plywood scraps, pallets, even stacked trash bags filled with snow. Anything that creates a dead air pocket between the tent and the storm. Dead air is insulation. That principle is older than central heating. And here's something most people don't expect. 2 feet of snow can actually make a tent warmer. Snow is a terrible conductor of heat. It traps air. That's why igloos work. Some homeless campers deliberately let snow drift against their shelters, forming natural insulation berms. Not fully burying the tent, ventilation still matters, but building snow walls around it. They call it letting the storm help. But shelter is only half the equation. The real enemy lives underneath you. Frozen ground steals heat faster than almost anything else. Cold air cools you. Concrete drains you. Which is why experienced survivors care more about what's under their body than what's over it. Cardboard becomes currency during winter storms. Flattened boxes layered 3 or 4 deep create thousands of microscopic air pockets. Each pocket traps warmth. The effect rivals commercial sleeping pads. Some people use foam insulation scavenged from construction sites. Others stack newspapers inside garbage bags. Anything that lifts the body off frozen earth. Here's the brutal math. You can stack 5 blankets on top and still freeze if you're lying directly on concrete. But 2 inches of insulation underneath can keep you alive. Most people get this backward. They pile warmth above. Survivors build warmth below. Then comes moisture control. Because inside every tent during a storm, something invisible is happening. Condensation. Your breath hits cold fabric and turns into water. By morning, the inside of the tent is wet. Sleeping bags absorb it. Clothes absorb it. And once insulation gets damp, its thermal value collapses. So street survivors install vapor barriers, plastic sheeting under sleeping areas, trash bags between cardboard layers, emergency mylar blankets lining tent walls. Those crinkly silver sheets reflect up to 90% of radiant body heat back toward you. They cost a few dollars. They save lives. But there's a catch. Seal everything too tightly and oxygen drops. Carbon dioxide rises. If anyone is burning candles, sterno, or improvised heaters, carbon monoxide joins the party. People don't wake up, so veterans always leave ventilation gaps. A fist-sized opening near the roof, another near the ground. Airflow without drafts. It's a delicate balance between warmth and breathing. Now, here's where winter survival gets personal. Body heat. During major storms, solo sleepers are at extreme risk. Groups fare better. Not because they have more supplies, because they have more heat. Sharing enclosed space raises interior temperatures by 10 to 15 degrees. That's the difference between shivering and sleeping. Some rotate positions through the night. Middle warms first, then swaps. It's quiet cooperation. No meetings, no rules, just instinct. And then there are the dogs. Street dogs sleep against people like living heating pads. They don't complain. They don't move much. They radiate warmth for hours. The phrase 3-dog night didn't come from music. It came from survival. 1 dog is chilly. 2 dogs is manageable. 3 dogs means you might make it. But warmth creates vulnerability. When you sleep deeply, you can be robbed. Or worse. So encampments establish watch rotations during storms. Someone always stays half awake. Listening, watching, trading comfort for safety. It's neighborhood watch under a freeway overpass. Now here's something most people never consider. Storm nights are when police displacement happens most. Tents get cleared for safety. People are told to move while snow is actively falling. You can spend hours rebuilding shelter while soaked, numb, and exhausted. Some people abandon tents entirely and ride out storms in parking garages, stairwells, or under loading docks. Others push carts packed with soaked blankets through blizzard winds, searching for any overhang that hasn't already been claimed. Winter. Storms don't just bring cold. They bring displacement. Which is why experienced survivors keep grab-and-go systems. Everything packed in under 60 seconds. Sleeping bag rolled. Cardboard bundled. Food stashed. You don't build homes. You build mobility. And just when survival systems are fully engaged, that's usually when fatigue hits. Which brings us to the most dangerous moment of every winter storm. Not midnight. Not the coldest hour. It's just before dawn. That's when body temperature naturally dips lowest. That's when exhaustion wins arguments with survival instincts. That's when people decide to rest for a minute. And that minute becomes permanent. The thing that quietly kills people during winter storms isn't always exposure. It's carbon monoxide. When temperatures drop and wind howls, the instinct is simple. Create heat. Anything that burns becomes tempting. Candles, sterno cans, DIY alcohol stoves, even makeshift heaters. Inside a tent, that warmth feels miraculous. For about 15 minutes, then oxygen levels start falling. Carbon monoxide rises, and the danger is invisible. No smell, no warning, just dizziness, sleepiness, confusion. People curl deeper into sleeping bags, thinking they're finally warming up. They aren't. They're being poisoned. Street veterans know this. They'll tell newcomers the same rule over and over. Never burn anything in a sealed tent. Ever. If flame is used at all, it's always outside the shelter, with heat allowed to radiate inward and full ventilation maintained. Most avoid it completely. Instead, they rely on passive heating, insulation, reflection, calories, movement, because fire in fabric shelters kills faster than cold. Now here's where homeless engineering gets surprisingly sophisticated. Snow load. A heavy storm can drop hundreds of pounds of snow onto a tent in hours. Cheap poles snap. Tarps sag. Roofs collapse. So survivors change the geometry. They don't build flat ceilings. They build peaks. They run cordage from center loops to nearby trees, fences, or carts. Some prop sticks vertically inside tents like support columns. Others use stacked buckets or milk crates to hold up sagging tarps. They also shake snow off shelters repeatedly through the night, even in blizzard winds, because letting snow accumulate is how shelters fail. And shelter failure in a storm isn't inconvenient. It's catastrophic. Now here's something counterintuitive. They don't always try to stay perfectly dry. They try to stay controllably damp. Snow brushing outer layers melts slowly. That moisture stays external. But sweat trapped inside clothing destroys insulation. So survivors vent heat intentionally. Unzip jackets while moving. Open tents briefly. Let steam escape. It feels colder in the moment, but prevents saturation later. The goal isn't comfort. It's thermal balance. Food matters too. Hot drinks feel good. They fade fast. Hot food keeps the internal furnace running for hours. Digestion produces heat. Fat-rich foods burn slow. Peanut butter, cheese, nuts. These calories work the night shift. People time meals for temperature dips. Small portions. Strategic eating, not fullness. Fuel. Movement follows, not workouts. Circulation. Every 90 minutes, fingers flex, ankles rotate, legs tense. Some stand briefly. Cold kills extremities first, so survivors constantly remind blood that hands and feet still matter. Plastic bags become lifesavers. One sock, plastic grocery bag. Second sock, vapor barrier. Same principle as military boot liners. Hands get latex gloves under mittens. Newspaper inside gloves. Hand warmers are treated like gold. Those little packets last 10 hours. Churches that distribute them save fingers. Literally, frostbite still finds people. And here's the terrifying part. You usually don't feel it starting. Skin turns white or waxy. Numbness replaces pain. So partners perform buddy checks. Ears, cheeks, noses. Once tissue freezes deeply, it dies. About 2,000 homeless Americans require amputations from frostbite every year. Lose toes and walking becomes harder. Lose fingers and carrying belongings becomes harder. One storm can permanently reduce survival capacity. Socks matter more than coats. Wet feet develop trench foot in under 48 hours. Infection follows. Tissue death follows. Dry wool socks prevent cascading disasters. Alcohol complicates everything. It doesn't warm you. It lies. It dilates surface blood vessels. You feel warm while core temperature drops. Roughly 20% of hypothermia deaths involve alcohol. People feel cozy right until they don't wake up. Now comes psychology. After the first night, adrenaline carries you. After the second, exhaustion sets in. By the third, dangerous decisions appear. Cold erodes will. Experienced survivors create routines, wake times, snow clearing, eating schedules, movement breaks. Structure becomes armor. Veterans organize camps, like military units. Fire watch, supply rolls, weather monitoring. Someone always knows what's happening. It's not dramatic. It's functional. Tent placement evolves. Open parks become wind tunnels. Smart survivors hug infrastructure. Embarkments, retaining walls, leeward building sides. They avoid valleys where cold air sinks. Even small elevation changes matter. Storms also change sound. Snow muffles footsteps. Encampments cluster for awareness. Isolation invites danger. Clustering brings moisture and illness. Every choice is a trade. Storms expose hierarchy. Better gear survives easier. Sleeping bags matter. Dogs provide warmth. Scarcity redistributes resources. Sometimes peacefully. Sometimes not. But storms also bring unity. Collapsed tents get rebuilt. People check on silence. Loss ripples outward. Then displacement hits. Sweeps. Clearances. People scatter. Lose networks. Lose shared warmth. Redundancy becomes survival. Multiple shelter options. Backup cardboard. Alternate. Sleep spots. Storms last days. Reserves drain. Clothes vanish. Coughs spread. Minor wounds worsen. This is where networks matter most. Information travels person to person. Which churches serve food? Which garages vent heat? Which guards warn first? Formerly homeless outreach workers connect more effectively. Trust comes from shared experience. Helping often misses the mark. Shelters have coats. They need socks. They need sleeping bags. They need tarps. They need hand warmers. Cash adapts to real needs. Used jackets don't. Dignity matters. Eye contact matters. Being seen matters. Survival kits built by housed people look neat. Kits built by street veterans save lives. And here's the truth nobody likes. Permanent housing with support services costs less than emergency rooms, jails, shelters, and policing. The math is clear. The will isn't. So instead, people learn tarp geometry. They fight blizzards with cardboard. They rely on dogs. They share warmth. They survive through networks. But they shouldn't have to. Homeless people aren't superhuman. They're ordinary people forced into extreme adaptation. Every trick exists because someone once didn't make it. Knowledge is written in loss. So the next time you pass a tent during a snowstorm, remember, inside is someone calculating wind direction, rationing calories, checking toes, listening for footsteps, and hoping morning comes. Not asking for heroism, just trying to survive the night. And the truth is simple. The knowledge to survive winter shouldn't be necessary. No one should need to master tarp engineering to stay alive. But until housing replaces hacks, people will keep fighting blizzards with cardboard and calling it resilience.